All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to continuing coverage of Super Bowl 60 Radio Row. I'm Bram Weinstein with former NFL player Brian Jones and Dr. Christine Gavegnano as we talk about safety and health and the future of CTE, which has been a big topic, obviously, in and around contact sports, and specifically the NFL. What have you learned about it as we kind of see the technology move forward here?
Was that for me or Doc?
Either one of you.
Listen, I've learned that a lot of us are afflicted by it.
Yep.
And some of us tragically, unfortunately. And I've also learned is that we're talking about it more openly now. I have a bunch of buddies. I'm on a text thread with former players, and we openly discuss our health and making sure we get our annual physicals, get those in, and just taking care of yourself. But it's scary. Yep. You think about what could be looming, and we were always, when this conversation really came to a head, the question has always been, would you want to know whether or not you have CTE? And now the noble work that Dr. Gavegnano is doing, where she has identified what she believes is the key driver, inflammation, for not just CTE, but other afflictions. As a matter of fact, for some of these other afflictions, the drug has already been approved. Now she's going to start conducting tests on CTE, and hopefully it comes back with, yes, this will work on mitigating some of the circumstances that derive from playing the game that we love.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So we've really been studying inflammation for many years in my group, and my PhD is in pharmacology, so we said to ourselves, look, inflammation is driving so many of these diseases. Why don't we go ahead and find a drug that is safe and specific and potent that can actually do that balancing act where it brings down the bad inflammation that's there. In the case of CTE and brain diseases, chronic elevated inflammation for years. And that could be caused by any number of things. In the case of CTE, from getting hit in the head so many times, it's like a smoldering fire that just never goes out. And as that's there, basically the cells that are in your brain, they want to talk to each other. They spread out these little neurons, and the inflammation causes them to ball up and die. And when that happens, you end up with a hole in your brain. And God forbid, when you're at that state, nobody can help. But the idea is that if we put a lid on that smoldering fire before you get to that state, you can mitigate the severity of it, hopefully prevent how severe it can become, and really working together to try to find blood tests, which people are working on at the Concussion Foundation. We work with Chris Nowitzki and his team, and we have this drug in trials for other brain diseases, for neurocognitive impairment, for HIV, and for depression, where inflammation drives those diseases, as well as in long COVID, because there's a lot of brain fog with long COVID, and we're studying that in a human phase 3 trial. And so now we're starting very soon. We're going to be launching this trial that will be the first for CTE. And because the drug's already FDA approved for other things, we feel really good about going into it with the drug that we know so much about. It's not something that's a big black box, and provide hope.
With CTE, was it believed that this was something that couldn't be reversed, and now you feel differently about with all of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, sort of, as Brian was saying, nobody wanted to be diagnosed because then they said there's nothing we can do for you.
Right.
There's nothing worse than being told this is what's going to happen. You almost don't want to know. But as we're marching closer to many different diagnostic tests, a combination of blood tests, inflammatory markers, MRIs, it's not perfect yet, but we're able to rule out a lot of other things and be able to rule in CTE. Underlying all of that is inflammation. It almost becomes, do you have to pin it down and nail it as CTE and call it that? If you've got an inflammatory brain disease, bringing that down is going to help you out. And so that's really where we're coming from, that we believe this will offer hope. And it's the first trial of its kind. And if that works with the NFL players that are retired that we're going to enroll, this opens up doors to do much larger trials and move towards an FDA approval, which is what we all want.
You had said you have a lot of friends, colleagues, former players as well you talk to about all this stuff, and that the conversation being open is a good thing. As you think about, I don't know if cure is the right word for it at this point, but thinking about their interventions that can occur, and potentially really good interventions, how are people kind of thinking about their futures with this looming?
Well, we're excited. I'm excited when I first got wind of what Dr. Gavegnano had developed. I immediately perked up, like, you got to be kidding me. This is what we've been looking for. This could be our holy grail. And it's not just sport. It's about larger society as well. Anyone who's sustained head trauma, this is for you as well. We're using football as the vehicle to prove the science. But how could you not be excited? Because heretofore, the person had to pass before we could go in and diagnose their brain, and not saying we're going to be able to look into that brain now, but at least if they're exhibiting behaviors in which I would grant you, I bet if you queried 100 football players, 100 of them would say, "Man, yeah, I deal with depression," because you're always in pain, but you're conditioned to take that pain and deal with it, and so you have trained your body and your brain to deal with it. Hey, this is my existence, nothing I can do about it. Whereas if it's a knee or if it's shoulder or something, I can put a brace on it or rub some cream on it or something. This bad boy, what do I utilize? Man, I am super excited about what she is developed or has developed in these trials, upcoming trials, and holding out hope that we have that elixir we've been looking for.
Yeah, it's really interesting work, Dr. Gavegnano. Brian Jones, thank you so much for
joining
us.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
We really
appreciate it, Brown.